I've been changing this area around a little bit in the last couple of days. I just wanted to give you a catch up on how I go about this. Now, this area has bugged me a little bit since getting here. It's changed a lot in that time, because where that fence is used to be a dead Leylandii edge which had cotoneaster running through it to form a new edge, and it just wasn't working. It was wrong, totally wrong. So since then, obviously, I've developed the whole area around it, but this bit here has always been a nightmare, and the reason being it had this spirea in it, which I think is argutifolia, and it was just poorly maintained. So I took it out yesterday and started redeveloping the whole area to work better. So I just wanted to show you how I go about these sort of things. So I've moved this euphorbia, which is a seedling really of, I think it's one called Redwing that I used to have a long time ago, Euphorbia Redwing, and it's a smaller variety, and as you can see, once you've moved these things, they do tend to have this droopy look about them, and it's surprising how quick these will bounce back. I've absolutely saturated with about 2 gallons of water, so it should be okay, and it should pick up in the next 2 or 3 days. And as I keep saying, September, October really is a great time to be moving plants around, because the soil's still warm, and it has been in this border. And this border is it's a lovely border really. It's next to this pergola here that I've built, and it's part of that whole thing. So the whole border gets changed around in keeping with that really. And again, like I say, if you'd have been stood here yesterday, there'd have been a great big shrub in the way there. Well, actually, there wouldn't, because I'd taken it out by the end of the day. But anyway, it's gone now, and it was a good 5 to 6 foot tall. And what it did do was it distracted you from a lot of what was going on around it. This tree here, it didn't really ever stand out, this tree. It's one of the Sorbuses scalarius, and it's a cracking one. I love it. I'll just show you the label on it, if it comes through. No, it's not going to, because the camera's going to play up again. There you go. So it's Sorbus scalaris, and it's absolutely fantastic, and it's starting to come into its autumn colours now, which is bright orange. It was bright orange last year, but it needs a sudden weather change for that. But now the shrub's gone from behind it, it's now standing out a treat, and that's what I was hoping for, and obviously that's what's happened. So I'm messing about with ideas at the minute. I've got a couple of hydrangeas. This one's just an Aspera type, and there's another one over there, just there, called Asperus argentiana, and that's really nice. And the little sticky thing there, that's another Sorbus called Eastern Promise, and it makes a very small tree. So although there's a couple of Sorbuses in here, and they'll both have a similar leaf, they both have different habits. But eventually, in fact, Eastern Promise dropped its leaves about a week ago, but it was in its pot still, and they always lose leaves quicker in pots. Whereas this one seems to hold on a little bit longer. This is actually Comixata type, and so it's the Japanese one, and it's they have better colours. I don't know why that makes a difference, but it does. So anything with the name Comixata in it is going to give you a stunning display. So I've moved this as well, this big Grassy. Now the big grass, if you remember, if you've watched my videos regular, it was actually here. And although at the time when I put it in, it had plenty of room around it, I've developed the garden further and moved things and put other things in. So it was actually, it's losing space. So I've added this little euonymus here. It's euonymus, is it elata? I'm sure it's elata. Yeah, elatus compactus. And it's going to have a cracking leaf colour, which it did have up to putting it in actually, but they've all fell off now. And it's only a small one, hence the name compactus. So it'll fit in there lovely. It'll get about 1.5 foot, maybe by 3 foot wide and deep. But I can control that by selective pruning. I've put this Elenium in here because it's a really nice one. Let's just show you what the flower will look like. On the other one, they're still holding on a little bit. It's exactly the same one as this one. And that's what they look like. And it's a really nice one. And we don't know what it's actually called. a friend gave me it, and she got it off of I think it was a cousin, and she just names it after a cousin, but it's not really that. But it's a really long-lasting one. This is the other one that I split off of it, but I moved that earlier in the year, and it's gone through really quick. But next year it's going to look exactly the same as that one. So there's some quite big plants in this border now. Quite big plants. And sometimes you need to evaluate and re-evaluate, as I do, and I do it all the time, as you know. I'm always re-evaluating things, because I also want it to work nicely with this lovely old rustic fence. That, by the way, cost me a fortune. I'd have been better just finding one in a reclamation yard. It'd have been half the price of that. I actually paid to have that made, which is ridiculous. Anyway, so there's still plenty of space in there, but I've got some really nice choice plants in here now. And although I do a lot of designing in this garden, a lot of creative designing, I still have good plants, or what I consider good plants that I like. Remember that flowers are very ephemeral. They only last for a short time, and at this time of year, this is when we're looking for leaf structure and shape at this time of year, because it's autumn now. So in England, in the UK, it's this is where we're at. In fact, the only thing that's flowering for me at the moment is literally just across the way, which is this Amphitryon and that Astrantia, and that's reflowering, that one. It's looking really nice, that. So there's not a lot of flowers going on at this time of year, so you've got to start looking for form and structure in leaf, and that's what I've done here. I've still got plenty of space there. You can see I've got a blank space. I don't know what I'm going to put in there. I don't know. After I dug out the spirea, I had to give it a break, really, because there was a Yucca gloriosa when we first moved here, and it came back again, and that's the problem with Yucca gloriosa. You maybe not aware it has a very big, thick, fleshy root, and once you've got it, it's a bit like a canthus. It tends to stick around. And I found lots of root actually in this section here, and the plants were regrowing, so I spent probably an hour digging it out, but I know for a fact I will not have got it all. Some of that will definitely come back. That's a formium there, that's called Platts Black. A little bit more tender than most, and hopefully that'll survive here. It's a good area for it. And then the Lamprophysis, which is that one here. This is a bit quirky, really, because it flowers in, I think it's June to July, and then again October to November it reflowers. So it gives these flowers off, but its better flowering will be next year. It's got quite a few growing on it at the moment. I'm not too worried about those at this time of year, because I know once the cold hits, that'll sort of not develop any further. So I'm not sure what to put in here, but it's got to be clever thinking. I've managed to put some in, as I've said already, but I don't want to rush the process. I want to take my time, and it's the best method. Put them in, go away, come back to it, have another look. In fact, it pays you, if you're not as experienced as me, to just put your plant pots in there and just sit them there. But obviously with the grass and with the euphorbia, they were in another part of the garden, so I had to lift those and put them in, whereas the formium, I could have put the pot there, but I knew it was going to look good there, because again, I'm looking for design elements from it. So you see the colour of that formium is picking up on the stems of this, so it's picking up quite nicely. As you see the two together, they're kind of contributing to the look together, making themselves complementary. I could do some bigger leaf stuff in here, really. To be quite honest, this would look good with some like hostas, something with a big leaf, or begonias or something like that, just to break up the monotonous sort of look at the moment, because we do have a lot of grassy-like things. Even though that's Nyphophia, it's still got that grass-like structure. But anyway, we shall decide over time. Now, again, we're in October, and I've had to do some work on this tree, because this tree, this is Prunus cerciferea Pisardii, and it's Nigra is the common one. And this has been here, it's one of the more mature trees. It's been in here quite some time now, and it loses its leaves a lot earlier than I'm used to. At other places, when I've had this particular tree, it's been the first to get its leaves back and the last to lose them. But in this case, it's the first. It gets them quite early still, but it loses them early as well, and I'm not happy with that. I thought I'd killed it in the first year, but I haven't. So what I'm doing is some what they call rejuvenating pruning, and I've taken off some big limbs to help it along, and this is all the limbs I've taken off. As you can see from there, they are quite big, and that's where they've come from. And I've also got up that side because I needed to lose some because it was going over the other side of the hedge, and that's a over the other side it's just grass where people walk past often. It's a verge, really. It's our verge, but people walk through that, and that's fine. But anyway, so it's a good time of the year if you've got some serious pruning to do to get on with that. And hopefully that will rejuvenate it. So as next year comes, what it will do, and I've been doing this over the last 2 years, sorry. As you can see from these stumps here, I've been doing this often. And what happens as a result is it will send up these new little whippy things. That's the better one there. So you see that whippy one up there? That one is going to develop into a nice new branch, which will give it a bit more youth and vigour, and hopefully it'll help it live a little bit longer, because it is quite a mature specimen. They don't live forever, these particular types, but hopefully we can keep it going a few more years. So there you go. So that's just a little YouTube on a border that I'm creating at the moment, and next year it should look good. And I'll give it more thoughts over winter and see what else we can add into that. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Ta-da.